T L.
It's time!
W
T L.
I think we got a show. Oh yeah, we got a show.
W
T L.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
And now, you got multiple parlays? You're just going to hit us with one? I mean,
I think I'm going to do a college football one because it's a big slate of college football this weekend,
Yes,
and then
it
I might
is.
do a player prop NFL one at the end.
I like that. See, we're adding suspense at the top.
Yes.
And we're gonna fulfill that.
No doubt
at the
about it.
bottom of that.
No doubt about it.
Okay, all right. Well, we have Thursday Night Football on Amazon. Everybody's got to be well aware of what's going on now. Amazon is streaming
gotta
service.
Be Prime members.
Yes. And we have the Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. They're 3-4, taking on the 4-3 Steelers. The Steelers are a slim 2.5-point favorite, right off that key number of 3.
Yeah.
Really low total here. That over-under is at 37. I guess this all makes sense. I mean, Tennessee, though, don't they got some issues at quarterback?
Well, you could call it savior or issues because they have been really struggling all year with the quarterback position, obviously.
Yeah.
Will Levis came in last week and, really shined. He wasn't supposed to, come in there and be, the savior and all that kind of stuff.
It was a fun story.
It is. I don't believe that's going to be apparent here. But to be honest with you, Pittsburgh was a 3.5-point favorite when I saw this earlier in the week.
Yeah, it opened at 3.5.
I think a lot of people are on the Will Levis train. I just don't like him in this particular matchup. His first, primetime game in front of everybody. And this Steelers defense, yes, it's given up a lot of yards. Gave up 377 yards last week, but they still had 3 takeaways. So I really like TJ Watt in the Steelers defense to really get after him.
Yeah.
And I if it's under 3, I really like the Pittsburgh Steelers here, especially at home.
Checking the old Pittsburgh injury list here, and if he's on it, then all bets are out the window. But,
for sure.
But no, you still got Watt in there, so that should be good. And it's not like Coach Tomlin and those guys forgot how to coach defense.
No.
And this is a rookie quarterback in a rookie spot here. Riding maybe a little too high.
Yeah, just on one win over the Atlanta Falcons, which are having huge quarterback troubles of themselves. Tennessee hasn't been giving up crazy points this year, but they've surrendered more than 16 points, more than 16 points just once. So this probably going to be a lower scoring game, run heavy. That's why I have a huge prop here, Andy, that I'm going to lay a lot of money on. Najee Harris over 45.5 yards rushing as at a plus 105 right now. So that's plus money for Najee Harris. I know he hasn't been, running up the scoreboard this year, but 45 is a low total number, and I believe he's going to get a lot of carries in this game when it's going to be a knockout, drag-out, run type of style game. So I like Najee over 45.5.
Yeah, and Kenny Pickett, the young quarterback for Pittsburgh, who hasn't been lighting the world on fire, but he is at least giving you some stability. And we've seen flashes of greatness. We'll say that.
Yeah.
But he just came off the injury list. Well, he's still on it. He's just been upgraded to probable.
Yeah, he's playing.
That lends its hand to. It's going to be kind of funny to watch because it's a Thursday night game for one. So you already got a watered down play call list, right? A shorter list.
Yep.
And you have 2 offenses here where their best hand. The best card they can play is the running game. So it's going to be like Derrick Henry's enforcing his will on no. Najee Harris is doing the same thing. It's going to be 2 teams.
Just button heads, not trying to put the ball in the air that much.
Running the ball back
Kenny
and forth.
can do that, and Will Levis is going to try and do that as well, but I really do believe this boils down to the running backs. That's why another prop that you kind of have to eye is Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown is at a plus 160.
I like that.
That's a good one as well. So
I like that one.
I'm on the running backs for this game, but if I had to back a team, it's the Steelers at home by 2.5 points.
I like that too, especially on a short week. This just seems like a place where Tomlin thrives.
For sure.
Where it comes down to coaching here and there. He seems to have the pedigree and the track record.
He does.
Real quick, what do you think of that total? I know it's low, and we got 2 teams we made a case for it, but it's only 37.
It's only 37. Two of
Iowa Hawkeyes aren't playing in this game.
Some are. But no, it's really low, Andy, but I do believe that this is going to be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to sidestep this one, but if I had to lean, it would be on the under, just because I believe it's going to be run happy, run often, punt, 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 punt.
Yeah.
Not a lot of scoring.
That's kind of how I'm viewing this one as well.
Yeah.
Maybe if it jacks up a little bit, which I don't think that's going to happen, maybe then I can get it on, but I don't feel good about that.
I just don't have, I don't like either of these offenses well enough to put up touchdowns.
Yeah.
And, even though 37 is low, you still have to have touchdowns to get there.
Right.
So,
yeah,
that's what it is.
And we saw a high-flying offense not score a touchdown for the first time in 8 years. We're going to talk about them right now.
Let's do it.
This is a really fun game. Saturday night, NFL football in Germany. Frankfurt, Germany is going to be hosting. This might be the game of the year thus far.
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins sitting at 6-2, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who we're alluding to.
Yeah.
Also sitting on 6-2 record. Just came off a loss. Patrick Mahomes' first loss ever to Denver.
Yeah.
And it was something crazy. Like the first time in 7 or 8 years they hadn't scored a touchdown under Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff.
It was crazy.
So we're looking at Kansas City as a 1.5 point. Whoa, I'm looking at 1 point now.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be a pick'em game.
Yep, it's moved down.
It started at 3 towards the Chiefs, but everybody that was looking at this line knew that if you're getting points, especially a field goal by the Dolphins, you're loading up on the Dolphins. Like you said, Kansas City Chiefs looked terrible last week against a pretty mediocre Denver Broncos team. The Dolphins are the best offensive team in the league, in my assumption. And now they're coming together defensively as well. The Dolphins' pass rush is improving. Now the secondary is added Jalen Ramsey, probably the best corner in the NFL.
Yep.
And I'm going to assume that Xavier Howard is good to go as well. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs are great and should be favored on reputation alone, Andy, but still the Dolphins with a free point. I love the Dolphins here.
Howard, the cornerback, has been bumped up to questionable.
Yeah.
So, all signs are pointing towards he should be able to go here. And, more corners, more safeties. That's always good when you're playing.
Sure. Especially the Chiefs.
Kansas City team. The look-ahead line was actually at -5.5. So, that just came screaming down.
For sure.
I'm looking at a consensus 1 point. So, basically a pick 'em. That over-under's at 50.5. The over, right?
Yeah.
The over is what you got to be looking at.
No, you really do, Andy. But
it's been bet down. It's been bet down to 50.5.
But you got to be careful. Like we said with the Dolphins defense, surging. And the Kansas City offense not playing well. That's why people are betting it down.
Yeah.
That's why people are going with the under.
Yeah.
They don't believe that the Kansas City Chiefs can score points right now. Yep. And 50 is a lot of points, especially you're traveling over the pond, over to Germany. Yep. Everybody's going to have, jet lag or whatever. Mm-hmm. I do like the under here, Andy. Everybody's going to be screaming at me, going over. But I do
Life's
like
too short to bet the under.
Right. I do like the under here if I'm leaning away, just because I do believe that, each team probably has 2 to 3 touchdowns, but 50 points is a little bit more than that.
It's a tricky spot because Kansas City's offense, they're only averaging 25 points per game.
Yeah.
So they're doing their half. I mean, that gets you to that 50.
It does.
Right? Miami, on the other hand, they're averaging 35 points per game. So that gets you there.
It does get you there.
And I just feel like defenses in the NFL, aren't their numbers kind of skewed? If you have a great offense, it puts that defense in such an advantage, more so than in college in my mind, to where for years and years when the Patriots really had it going and the Indianapolis Colts really had it going, their defenses were always ranked in the top 10, top 5. And it's like, they're not that good. It's the offense putting them in a spot where who they're playing is predictable.
Exactly.
So I know Kansas City has this great defense, but I just don't put as much stock in their numbers. So I think these are two offensive teams that are going to be crossing the pond, and they're going to be putting on a show.
I mean, they're supposed to be putting on a show. That's why this game is scheduled in Germany. These are two of the best teams in the NFL. They say, go get us fans over there. Go get, get the ball to Kelsey. Get the ball to all these superstars that are playing this game. Get to Tyreek. So, no, I believe that everybody's going to be on this over. I just don't see it happening with the way that the Kansas City Chiefs are struggling and the Miami Dolphins are playing on defense right now.
Okay, let's move on to a Sunday noon kickoff.
Let's do it.
Got a little bit of time here. Let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
God, you feel bad for Kirk
You do.
Kirk O'Chains, Kirk Cousins with that injury. Taking on the Atlanta Falcons. They are sitting at 4-4. Two teams that are at 4-4.
Yeah.
However, the Falcons are a 4.5-point favorite. Another really low total, which that makes sense when you look at all the injuries here, especially on offense for these two teams, at 37.
Yeah, Andy, the first thing you got to get out is the quarterback situation for both teams.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder, he's benched for the Atlanta Falcons. Taylor Heineke, if you remember the flash in the pan guy for the Washington Commanders the few past years that has came in and been pretty dang good in won a playoff game, all that kind of stuff. So he is, serviceable at quarterback, and it does seem that the Atlanta Falcons do have some good pieces that they can, put up some points. On the other hand, Andy, the Vikings' new quarterback, Joshua Dobbs, that they just traded for, is not likely to play in this game.
No, he's not. So with all that, you kind of throw it together. It's a trap shoot, right? Atlanta they've only covered in one of their last 7 games against the spread. Minnesota, on the other hand, they have covered 4 of their last 5 games, and everybody's always seems to be so underwhelmed by the Vikings. I'm not, and I just feel so bad for Cousins.
Yeah, you do.
He finally got that monkey off his back, won a primetime game, had a high-flying offense, and everyone took notice, like, oh my God, his stats really are. He really is the second best,
sure.
leading passer, leading touchdowns, and all that stuff.
Wholeheartedly.
So I'm going Minnesota. I like Minnesota. 4.5 points. They can do that.
I really
too many injuries on offense.
Too many injuries on offense, Andy. Like we said, Jaron Hall will be the starter for the Minnesota Vikings, product out of BYU. Never played in the NFL before. I don't believe this is a good spot for him. I do believe Taylor Heineke is a way better quarterback at this point in his career in the NFL. Give me the Atlanta Falcons by a touchdown in this game just because. Injuries.
Those offensive injuries
But if you're doing anything in this game, most likely everybody sidestepping this game, including me. Go with the under 37 points. We're talking about that first game. We're talking about the Tennessee Titans and the Steelers going under. At least those guys have played in the NFL.
Right.
These two teams are brand new to everything. Jaron Hall, like we said, first game ever. Taylor Heineke, first game ever with the Atlanta Falcons. Under 37 points is the play here.
And Taylor Heineke's hot right now. He just won Halloween. Did you see that?
I did not.
So his wife was dressed up as like a car, and a really good-looking gal, right?
Yeah.
And she had really bright headlights on, and they were on. Let me tell you, they are bright.
Yeah.
And he was a deer, and he was just caught in the headlights. So
that's pretty dang good.
It was pretty good, pretty clever. So he did win Halloween.
All right.
Maybe you'll just run that momentum into this game.
Yep,
okay,
there we go.
That
will happen.
In hot Atlanta.
Hot.
Let's say you heard the horn, so we're up against it. Take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. We've been enjoying the Pickle Punch. Says
pickle fight,
a pickle punch to your throat.
Yes.
It's a flavorful, zesty ale that boasts a bold, briny pickle flavor. We can attest to that.
That is the best pickle beer on the market. Best thing for Bloody Marys in the world. Pickle fight, check it out.
I would have to agree. Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it.
All right, we talk a little NFL.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit, talk some college football.
Let's do it.
I guess a ranking came out recently, and it has some people kind of riled up here.
Exactly, yeah. The ranking, the college football playoff ranking, and yes, a couple teams were not happy with their spots in it, but I just do love this, Andy, because it gets people in such a riot so quickly in the year, and it doesn't matter right now. It does not matter.
True.
If you're undefeated, you're in the running. You can be top 4 if you want to, but if you're undefeated, you're still in the running. I don't get why people get so riled up about the first college football playoff ranking.
And you can kind of see, like, and we'll dive into it, but you can see where, okay, well, if that's your criteria, well, then why is this team ahead of that team? Like, what are we talking about?
What are we
here?
talking about? We're splitting hairs here.
Yeah, and I always, I've always looked at the odds to make the playoff and win the playoff, and if I'm just looking at those guys have a little bit of a discrepancy or
they do.
a few differences. So let's go get right into it. So it came out, Ohio State's in the top spot. They are in the number one. They're in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
No surprise there, I don't think, even though some people,
For sure
national writers, they're throwing some shade towards the Buckeyes. Number 2 is Georgia. Number 3, Michigan. Number 4, Florida State. Right off the top, my initial reaction is, everybody's saying how bad the Big Ten is, especially the Big Ten West, and they're really in the driver's seat to put 2 teams in the playoff. For
sure they are.
That's my first read.
That's your first read, Andy. And obviously, with this ranking, the statement wins go a long way.
Yeah,
obviously, the selection committee holds higher ranked opponents. Big time. Ohio State has 2 top 15 wins already against number 11 Penn State and number 15 Notre Dame at the time.
On the road, that Notre Dame game was impressive.
Exactly. Yeah. So help boost the Buckeyes to that top spot. In Georgia, like you said, right on their heels because
Florida. Florida's their best win, right?
Exactly. They're Florida, and their next 3 games are against CFP-ranked teams, starting with number 12 Missouri and followed by number 10 Ole Miss and number 17 Tennessee. So these guys will play those ranked opponents. Now, Michigan, the reason that they're all mad is because, they're leading, in, yards and all this kind of stuff, and it's just what it is, and beating the crap out of everybody they played. But their best win, Andy, is against a 6-2 Rutgers team.
Oh, I thought it was Nebraska. Barely got by us at home.
Yeah, barely got by us. But there's no reason that the Michigan Wolverines should be mad at this ranking or even mad at their position,
right?
Especially with all the hoopla that's going on around their college football program right now. So
they can't see the forest from the trees. They can see the other team's play calls, but they can't see the forest from the trees.
Exactly. So I don't get why people are up in arms. They're going to have a chance to prove it. Obviously, Michigan has Penn State and Ohio State left on their schedule. So no matter what, this is all going to play out in the end.
Yeah.
So I don't get the controversy. The thing with Michigan, the only thing that they always have to go back on is they beat Ohio State the last 2 years.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's 2023.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
You play ranked opponents early in the year, you'd be bumped up. Doesn't matter, though. You got 2 hugely ranked opponents in Penn State and Ohio State left on the schedule.
I really feel give me your thoughts on Florida State, real.
Well, Florida State, you kind of had to put them in there just because they're undefeated and they've played some dang good competition, Andy. They win it. LSU number 5
on a neutral field.
And they were number 5 at the time. Blew them out 45-24.
Yep.
Also beat Duke a couple weeks ago when they were ranked 16th in the nation.
Yep.
So for Florida State, they just got to keep a hold of the wheel right now, and they're going to be in the conversation. And their next 4 games to get in the college football playoff is probably the easiest across the country just playing in the ACC. They got Pitt, they got Miami, they got North Alabama, and then they got Florida at the end of the year. So that's really going to be the decider game in my mind, Andy. They're playing the SEC opponent, Florida, at the end of the year to get in the college football playoff.
Yep.
I don't believe they're going to be able to do it, but with all these teams, fate's in their hand.
Florida State probably has the second best resume, if you ask me.
Yeah.
That win over LSU on a neutral field, I think they should be too. You can make the argument that Georgia or Michigan or both could be behind Washington right now because Washington beat Oregon.
Yeah, exactly, Andy. It's just what it is.
Those
and
wins
that's
for
why
Michigan,
Washington's in the spot that they are.
They're
is that
fifth.
Because they have that win against Oregon at home, though.
It's not too zany where all teams are at least 8-0 right now, including Washington sitting at the 5 hole. They're in the 5 spot right now. But I think a strong case could be made that Washington deserves to be there right now before Michigan, before Georgia, and Florida State should probably be at worst number 2 here.
Yeah.
I think that's where the most of the gripes are coming from, unless you're tuned into an SEC channel or network and they're saying, well, Georgia's been ranked number 1 all year. They should be number 1. What did they do? They should be. And Michigan fans are the same way.
Exactly, Andy. The reason that you're seeing that is, like you said, Washington, they have the front runner for the Heisman, Penix Jr., just blowing people away.
Isn't anymore.
But the only reason that they're not ranked up there is they only have one game against a ranked opponent, and that is Oregon, another Pac-12 team. So that's the reason. And like you said, against Georgia, they're the defending national champions. That's what happens is you get a little bit of bias, but they still have a ranked win over Kentucky when they were ranked. So it's pretty much splitting hairs at this point. Yeah. You got to give the edge to Georgia because they've been there, and the Pac-12 doesn't carry its weight as much as it probably should in this college football playoff.
But the Pac-12, I mean, from top to bottom, they're looking really solid this year. So that whole strength of schedule stuff, it's like, okay, well, if that's the criteria, why isn't Washington, in the top 4 right now?
Yeah.
But it will have an opportunity to play itself out. I will say the committee got this right. Washington's 5. Oregon is 6.
No doubt.
7-1. I mean, head-to-head, right?
Exactly. And there's the 2 Pac-12 teams, Andy, and they are going to have their chances to be in it, obviously.
So then they got this right. 7 is Texas, and 8 is Alabama.
No doubt.
Texas beat Alabama.
For sure.
Right? Well, then why is Oklahoma at 9, an entire spot behind?
When they won the Red River rivalry.
Right. The shootout. Just call it a shootout. I don't care. That doesn't seem to offend me too much. Or our listening audience, I don't believe.
No doubt.
So anyhow, if you're talking head-to-head and it means so much, well, then Oklahoma should be ahead of Texas. Texas should be ahead of Alabama. and then it will sort itself out. The same argument as Michigan shouldn't be mad or Georgia shouldn't be mad. Well, then stick with that and have the top 10 rounded out the way it should be if we're counting head-to-head as such a thing.
Yeah, I just think it's because that Red River rivalry game was, kind of just, like you said, a shootout, back-and-forth game, back and forth.
It was.
And it's a rivalry game when you come down to it. So I believe everybody believes that Texas is still the better team and the better national powerhouse, accustomed to Oklahoma. So I do understand the ranking there, and, Alabama, they're never going to be too far down the list, and they have a very good shot at making this playoff as well.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying, though.
Okay, so real quick, I just opened up the Warhorse betting app here, and we're talking about the discrepancy between the rankings and the odds.
Yeah.
So right now, to just take the whole thing down, if you want to bet a futures at Warhorse Casinos, which Wednesday they just opened up their second sports book in Omaha. I was on hand for that occasion. That was really cool.
Lincoln in Omaha.
Lincoln in Omaha. Grand Island has a sports book now.
Yes.
So we're getting her done.
We're doing it.
At the top of that board is Michigan with a plus 215 bet to win it all. Georgia's right behind them at plus 270. Florida State at plus 700 is in the 3-hole.
Yeah.
Then you have Ohio State at plus 800, followed by Alabama. So that's not what they have done yet, what this ranking should be. This is projecting out there, and I feel like the rankings that we got project too much, and that's what odds makers do.
Exactly.
That's what's supposed to be on the books.
Yeah.
When we're talking about a body of work that's been done though already, that's the hay's in the barn.
It's
then
the opposite.
Yeah. Then Florida State should probably be up a couple spots.
Ohio State as well.
Yeah, and but
in Washington.
But that's not what this is.
No,
that's not this plus money.
These are the real rankings.
Yeah,
when you see stuff at the sports book, these are the guys that study in and out what's going on, who's got a better chance against this team, who's got a better chance against this team. Now, with Michigan being that top, plus 225, plus 215 at most books, I do believe that's a little reach because of the body of work.
They got to play Ohio State, too.
And Penn State. Both. No, so when you're talking about, bang for your buck, Andy, right now, I like the Washington plus 1,400 is a very good, sprinkle a little bit on them because they can win their next 3 games and be in this college football playoff. Again,
I like that.
Alabama has a very good shot at making it as well if they can close down this season. And my third one is that Ohio State team. They're plus 700. That is huge bang for your buck when you've already got 2 top 15 matchups in your back pocket. We know that they're real. We know that they're going to play Michigan close, if not win that game. So I really like those 3 bets. Most of all, Ohio State.
I do too. Yeah, only twice. I just read that. Only twice has a team that was in that first rankings in week 7 or 8 when the college football playoff brings them out. Only twice has the number 1 not made the playoffs.
Yeah,
and that was Ole Miss. That was a while ago.
Long time.
2014, Mississippi State. It was Mississippi State didn't make it. And then Tennessee a couple of years ago in 2022. They didn't make it either. Real quick, we had a little shakeup at the top on the Heisman on some books, not all, but Penix Jr. fell back behind J.J. McCarthy. It's basically kind of a pick'ems.
Yeah.
Just saw that on the Warhorse app as well.
Yeah.
You're looking at plus 235, plus 240 between the two guys.
The thing right here, Andy, that real quick I want to go to, Michael Penix Jr. should be the outright winner of the Heisman Trophy already. He has almost 3,000 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, and a QBR of 83. When you look down, all the way down to J.J. McCarthy, this guy barely has 1,800 yards passing and 18 touchdowns.
Jeez.
It does not stack up, even though they've been blowing these teams out. Penix Jr. should be the overall hype man for the Heisman Trophy, and J.J. McCarthy should be 4 or 5. People are jazzing up this Michigan team a little bit too much, I believe.
So.
And I do believe they're going to drop one of these games at Penn State or Ohio State, and it'll shove J.J. McCarthy all the way out the door. He does not have the stats to back it up, and 4 or 5 of these guys are way above him, but Penix Jr. is through the stratosphere right now.
Yeah.
But he will be running through it. He has 3 top 25 opponents right in a row coming down the line. So it's anybody's game right now, but if you can get, a plus 300, a plus 400 on Penix Jr., do it.
Well, here's what it is. The Heisman is a beauty pageant. JJ plays in the big house, and Penix Jr. plays, after I already go to bed.
For sure.
So, and that's what's going on.
That's what it is.
But I do like the value there, and all those things you said really can happen. JJ can drop a game, fall out of it. Penix can just keep winning.
Yeah.
That's not a stretch.
And one more thing I wanted to touch on, Andy, is a lot of people, a lot of books, a lot of people have been telling me Marvin Harrison Jr. He's been moving up. People, do not waste your money on Marvin Harrison Jr. The guy is unbelievable and probably the first receiver taken in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
He only has 889 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 48 receptions. The last wide receiver to win the Heisman Trophy, Devontae Smith, Philadelphia Eagle, had double yards, double touchdowns, and double receptions. Yeah. So he barely won that. Devontae Smith barely won that, and he had double stats on everything across the board than Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah. It's just not going to happen for him, even if Ohio State is number 1 when this happens. Probably won't happen either.
I don't think so. I have to agree with you. It has kind of, in recent years, it's more overwhelmingly all quarterback. And this year...
And there's too many undefeated teams with good quarterbacks.
With really good quarterbacks.
So I love Marvin Harrison Jr. Hope he's a Carolina Panther. He's just not going to win the Heisman.
All right, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron,
the Parlay Pounder.
You got it.
And we got a Big Ten parlay here?
Yeah, Big Ten parlay incoming at the end of this segment.
Oh, all right. Well, then let's start with the Big 12, I guess.
Let's start with the Big 12 so we can get into the real stuff.
This is a top 25 matchup.
This is a lot more real than the Big 10.
Big 10 West,
Big 10 West, anyways.
Big 10 East, they got 2 in the top 40 pounds.
Hell yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, that's really good. That's really nice. Okay, we're top heavy. We got Kansas State, still ranked. They're 25th in the nation in most polls. 6-2. Kansas State taking on the 7-1 Texas Longhorns. They're ranked 7th in the nation. They're also, I think, 7th in the college football playoff rankings. And they're only a 4-point favorite, though, at home against the Wildcats. That's a Fox 11 o'clock kickoff. You got that total there at 49.5 right now.
For sure. The Texas Longhorns should be favored at home. Let's just get that out of the way, though. But they're getting a little extra sauce here, Andy, because I believe that they're the more sexier team. You know,
This line has come down a lot.
Exactly. But I do believe that's what I'm saying, is it started out, a little bit inflated than what it should be. K-State doesn't have the household name or the reputation yet, but instead what they do have is a top 20 offense and a top 20 scoring defense in the country. Kansas State has been tripped up twice on the road this season, but I believe the Wildcats are one of the most balanced teams in college football and are going to I might sprinkle a little money line on this. I think Longhorns
I love
drop
that.
a game, but
Let me
if you
look
can
that up.
find this at +4 at +4 or +4.5, I am on the Kansas State Wildcats.
That money line's at a +155.
Woo!
And I don't know what it is, but the Wildcats have Texas's number.
They do.
It just seems like every year they spoil them. Like, you're almost a little bit more surprised when Kansas State doesn't give them a heck of a
For
game
sure.
or goes to overtime
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. Check this out. Last 19 times that Kansas State has played Texas, the Wildcats are 13-6 against the
Woo!
spread. Against the
I
spread.
like that.
So that's where I'm at with
Yeah.
it. And that's where everybody else is at too, because this opened. The early line was at -8.5.
Yeah,
Texas.
that's easy money.
Right there. So, yeah, and you saw a wave of that come in on Monday.
For sure.
Getting a little closer to kickoff here Thursday. So, of course, that line has moved all the way down to a square 4. Still off that key number of 3, though. So, you
No
still
doubt.
got that field goal win for Kansas State. How many times have we seen that? The Wildcats win by a field goal.
I do believe that, even if Texas does win, like you said, it'll be by a field goal right at the end to beat Kansas State. But whenever I can get a team that's this good on an underdog roll, that's where I'm clicking in. I'm taking it. Give me Kansas State and the points.
Yeah, and Texas, they're so worried about their rankings in the college football playoff, they should maybe be a
They
little
should
bit
worry
more.
about the cats in purple coming to
Yeah,
town.
I think so. Should we move to a night game?
Let's do it.
SEC.
Woo!
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
6:45 kickoff. That's going to be on CBS, as a lot of SEC games are. Number 13th ranked in the nation, LSU Tigers taking on Alabama, who's ranked number 8 right now.
Yeah.
Tigers are 6-2. Crimson Tide 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
Crimson Tide is a 3-point favorite at home.
Yeah. Alabama's playing their best football right now, Andy.
Yeah, they are.
7 straight wins, and they have won 8 of the last 10 meetings against LSU.
Yes, they have.
At home, Alabama should be favored. However, there's an argument to be made that LSU is the better team from top to bottom in the much more trustworthy quarterback. The guy's in the Heisman rating. Also, LSU hasn't had much winning success against the Tide. It has covered 6 of the last 10 meetings. I'm getting free points here.
Yeah.
I believe I'm going with LSU, especially if it stays under that field, above that field goal with the plus money. So give me the LSU Tigers. I'm seeing that +3.5, and that's where I would bet on it.
Right.
If it gets closer to +3, you got to really look at the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, and this is just like the previous matchup where that opening line was around 7.5.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
boy, it got bet down in a hurry because everyone's expecting a close game.
For sure.
And I think you got a lot of folks, odds makers that are saying, ooh, wrong team's favored here, period.
Yeah.
It's just that it was so far on the other side there, and Alabama's hot, and it's at home. I get it.
Yeah.
It's a night game. I get it. But LSU, talent-wise, and at the most important position,
For
the
sure.
quarterback, the trigger man,
Jaden Daniels, yep.
They might have an edge here over Alabama.
Yeah, no matter what in prime time, even if it's a home or away, you go with the best quarterback on the field, and Jaden Daniels is definitely that.
What do you think of this total at 61?
I think that is inflated, Andy. I just do believe that
a lot of
both
points.
defenses are better than that.
Yeah.
Maybe they haven't shown it or whatever, but I like both teams to keep this close, and I don't believe it's going to be a shootout. So I would lead with the under.
You leaning with the under?
Yep.
The total's smacked 5 of the last 6 games for LSU.
Yep.
Yeah.
They haven't played Alabama each time.
That is true.
Yeah.
All righty. Should we move on over to the Big Ten?
Let's move over to the Big Ten.
All right. This is an 11 o'clock kickoff on FS1. Up at Sparty.
Yeah.
The Nebraska Huskers are a 3-point favorite on the road against Michigan State. That total is really, really low at 34.5.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Big Red here. But I don't know. Might be staying away. No, I'm never staying away from the Cornhuskers. The Cornhuskers win over the weekend wasn't without problems. Obviously, Nebraska lost 4 fumbles and not just 14 first downs on offense, but the defense continues to play great to get the W for the Cornhuskers. They just allowed 195 yards, only 99 passing, Andy, and had 3 takeaways. That is 14 or fewer points allowed in 3 straight games.
Special teams touchdown as well.
For sure, Andy.
That was awesome.
For sure. As for Michigan State, they continue to fail flail in their last outing, compiling just 15 first downs, 299 yards, only 190 passing, 2 turnovers, and 4 of 13 on third down against Minnesota.
I mean, that's what happens when your head coach is having phone sex or whatever.
Yeah,
with,
it's kind of weird.
And then you get fired, but you were supposed to get fired for your bad job, but they couldn't figure out a way, and then they
figured it out.
They figured it out.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be slapped with a lawsuit just like Northwestern, probably
For
lose
sure.
a lot of money. This line, interestingly enough, opened up as a Nebraska 1.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
Now Nebraska's a 3-point favorite, so it's moving up. A lot of bettors, whether they're squares, they're sharps, whoever, the betting public, they believe in the Huskers too here.
Yeah, no doubt. And I did get this at 1.5. I still
nice.
believe it is still good at 3, Andy.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that the Spartans have scored 16 or fewer points in 5 of their last 6 games. I don't see them doing this against a much better defense than a lot of them that they have played. I just like the Huskers in this spot. And guess what? A lot on the line for the Huskers. They're at 5 wins right now. One more puts us at bowl eligibility, which we haven't had in so long. This is where you need to do it. This is the least competitive team left on our schedule.
Gotta get it.
Gotta get it now if we're going to get it. So I like Nebraska by 3. I really liked them by 1.5.
And the old Skurs are on a winning streak, right? 3 games, first time in a long time. And I really like how Coach Rule has shifted gears and said, okay, we're going to rush the ball and we're going to play solid deep. We have to lean on our defense.
We have to.
If we're going to win games, it's what we got to do. And that's why the under has smacked 4 of the last 5 road games.
Yeah.
You already talked about MSU and their terrible offense.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. This is at 34.5, and I'm looking at the under.
Yeah.
I feel the under.
I do too, Andy, if I had to lean one way or the other. And a big reason for that is Nebraska seems like it's turning on a corner that we play good in the second half.
Yeah.
Especially in this last game against Purdue. Nebraska held a 21-0 edge going into the fourth quarter and cruised to a 31-14 win. So I really believe that they can clamp down on this team. Under's probably going to hit. I believe that the Huskers still have their woes on offense.
Yeah.
Get about 21 points in this game. Call it game, call it under.
Win ugly, give me the under. That's fine with me. GBR,
Let's
go
do it.
Big Red. All right, Mr. Parlay
Yes.
Pounder. You got a Big Ten parlay play?
I do got the Big Ten parlay play. I got 3 Big Ten teams. Minnesota at home against Illinois. Just some money line sitting at a -125. I just believe Minnesota is defensively a better team and going to edge out the win at home. I got Nebraska at a -145 money line to beat Michigan State straight up. And to round this out, I got number 11 Penn State at Maryland covering a 6.5-point line.
Favorite.
Yep. Favorite at a -160. I believe all 3 of these are likely to hit, putting 25 on this to win 100.
The Terrapins, the Turtles, they've been pretty slow out there in Maryland the last couple weeks. I do think Penn State could get the better of them here.
Exactly. And just by a touchdown, I think that's definitely going to happen. Like we said, Penn State, number 11 in the nation, still holding on to that college football playoff dream. The Turtles have looked very slow in the last 3 games.
All right, so we got Minnesota defending home on the money line. Huskers going on the road, winning out right over
Michigan State
with the money line. Then we also got Penn State covering.
By 6.5, yep.
All right. Hey, it's hard to argue that one, right?
It's going to happen.
Three-legger.
It's going to happen.
We could do that.
We can do it.
Take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. World class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We gave you the Big Ten parlay.
Yes.
Now it's time for a player prop NFL one at the end of this segment.
I can't wait. Hey, like it, love it, hate it, whatever.
Yeah.
I said don't do a player prop on Travis Kelce until we had
You nailed
confirmation.
it.
She wasn't in the stands.
She wasn't there.
And they not only did Travis play like crap, the whole team did.
Exactly.
They lost to
need
Denver.
her there. Hopefully she's flying out to Germany for them. We'll see.
she was overseas.
Yeah.
She wasn't in Denver. I forget where the heck she went. But,
hopefully she's in Germany for the Chiefs' sake.
I always thought it was crazy enough that I know who the third string wide receiver is for any random team across the NFL due to fantasy football. Now I know pop culture and where all my pop stars are at too.
Yes, sir.
It's just crazy. Oh, and we do have to mention congratulations to the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
First time they're
Rangers
World Series champions. First time in their storied history.
Yeah. Finally, Pudge and Juan Gonzalez and all those guys can
Nolan Ryan
hold their heads up high.
Yep.
They finally got out of the Houston Astros shadow. Congratulations to the Rangers.
Yep. And and all I like to do is bet road teams in baseball, so that served me real well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Seager was on a warpath as well as Garcia for the Rangers. So it was a lot of fun to watch it.
10 straight road games won by the Rangers.
Crazy.
Down the stretch.
Crazy.
Pretty impressive. All right, let's get into the NFL because we got a fun slate here to wrap things up. The Dallas Cowboys are heading on over to Philadelphia for a prime time NFC East matchup. The Eagles are flying high, right? At 7-1. However, they are only a 3-point favorite over Dallas. It's just crazy when you look at the tabloids, read stuff, watch ESPN.
Yeah.
Cowboys are terrible. It's a dumpster fire. And the Eagles can't be beat.
Yeah.
But they're only a 3-point favorite at home.
Division rival, always a close game, Andy, especially, you just think Eagles, Cowboys, you're in for a good one.
Yeah.
No matter what, Andy, right now, I'm rolling with the over here. I'm seeing it at 46-47.
Yep.
These
47.
two teams, have solid defenses for sure, but the offenses are just as good, and the over has hit in 5 of the last straight meetings, blowing the line out here, more often than not. So I think this game is headed for the 50s at very least, if not don't hit the 60s. So I really like the over here no matter what.
Yeah, your best bet here is smacking that
for
over.
Sure.
Hey, there's not much not to like about the Eagles and that offense.
No doubt about it.
It can be powerful, the power rushing attack when they need it. Hurts is more than capable and has plenty of really good receivers.
Yep.
And a great offensive line, obviously headed by some
Jason
other Kelsey.
Yeah. No, they get within 5 yards, they're getting it in the end zone. It's just what it is. And no matter what, they're 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, they're getting the yard with the tush push.
Isn't that the truth? The story of the NFL
the brotherly shove.
Just keep on hitting those little rhymes.
No doubt.
Now, this opened up at 2.5. It has been bet up to 3. Do you think it's going to keep moving further north, or is it going to stick around that?
I think it's right at that. I believe that they think the Eagles will, secure the victory right at the end with that field goal. I do like the Eagles here to win at the end, but I'm much more just looking at that money line at minus 150. I just believe that that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Because, this can can be a 1-point victory, 2-point victory. I just believe it's going to be that close of a game that the Eagles sneak out of there with a field goal.
The last 5 matchups between Dallas and Philadelphia, regardless of location, the over has smacked.
No doubt.
So I like your over bet there as well.
I love the over and the minus 155 with the Eagles money line. Give me those two.
There we go. All right, should we move on to a Sunday night matchup? That's going to have a lot. This is a great matchup here. The Buffalo Bills are heading up to Cincinnati to take on the 4-3 Bengals. Bengals, got off to a slow start. That's just what they do.
They do that.
Didn't they lose like their first 3 games the year they went to the Super Bowl as well?
Relax.
Relax, right? Where have I heard that before? So this is going to be in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 2.5 point favorite, depending on where you're looking. I'm looking at a total of 49.5.
Yeah, Andy. I think I'm going to take a stab with the road team here with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
This is a little bit of an interesting one. The Bengals are playing a comfortable home game, and the Bills get a little extra time to rest and prepare. Buffalo may, just be 2-2 in their last 4, but I think they've been just scoring really well on offense. Josh Allen's been tearing it up with 20 or more points in 6 of the last 7 outings. Right. It's been a while since the Bills have put up a big total, though, and they've been 24 points or below in each of the last 4. I believe this is a time that they really just poured on. As for Cincinnati, they're on a pretty nice roll, like we just alluded to. The Bengals have hit 34 or more points in the last 2 of 3 outings. Which is kind of going against what I'm saying, though. Ultimately, I think this will be a reasonably high total with the Buffalo powering powering out a road cover. I just really believe Buffalo has the better team rolling right now. It'll be a good game to watch regardless. One of the best.
This is one of those interesting lines where when it opened up, Buffalo was a 1.5, 2-point favorite.
For sure.
Now the line is completely flipped where Cincinnati is now catching points. They're a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a huge movement that you don't always see that in the NFL like you do in the college game.
No, you definitely don't, but that's just kind of alluding what I was talking about is I think people deep down do believe that Buffalo is the better team here. It's just that the Bengals are at home and they can't be catching points at home. It's just what it is. It's the NFL. You can't be given, a good as team as the Bengals points at home, or you're going to lose. You're going to lose your money.
The Bengals have won 4 of their last 5 games,
no doubt.
And everyone was kind of waiting for the team, that offense especially, to wake up.
Yeah.
And it appears that they have. Well, when you look at those offensive weapons, you're thinking, what is going on?
What is going on? You got one of the best quarterbacks in Joe Burrow, 2 of the best receivers in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and then a very formidable running back with Joe Mixon. So they have a very good offense. I just believe Buffalo is just a little bit better. That's why you got to look at the money line, Andy. You're getting plus money with the Buffalo Bills right now. That is my play for the game.
I'm looking at a plus 120 on that money line now, and it opened up at a minus 125.
Exactly.
Money line. And I believe I just had that in front of me. 8 of the last 11 times that these two teams have squared off, the over has smacked.
Got to smack that over too, Andy.
Yeah. These two quarterbacks love to duel too.
They love to duel.
They go back and forth.
If you're getting the total under 50, you're getting a good deal.
All righty. Should we move on to Monday night?
Let's go Monday night.
Monday Night Football on ESPN. We have the Los Angeles Chargers playing the New York Jets. And the Jets, believe it or not, they are 4-3. They have a winning record
no doubt
right
about
now.
It. No doubt about it.
3.5-point underdogs,
obviously. And the Jets were an absolute mess last week against the Giants. That was the worst football game that I've ever watched.
They won, though, right?
But 3 straight wins, Andy, is 3 straight wins, especially in the NFL. Yeah. Obviously, the LA Chargers are the more talented team here, but they have a history of playing games down to the wire.
Yeah.
And they end up losing at the end a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The Chargers are also dead last in passing defense, 24th in scoring defense. The Jets defense is sure to give Herbert and company issues.
Oh, yeah.
I love the Jets at plus 3.5 at home. Give me that Jets defense to cover this spread.
There we go. And this has been bet up because this opened up at 1.5. Now it's all the way up to 3.5. And now you're starting to see that value.
For sure.
If it starts coming back down, do you have a cutoff point in mind at all?
Yeah, no, 3.5 is the cutoff point, Andy, because the Chargers more than likely win this game by a field goal. But this Jets team is going to keep it close.
Oh, yeah. They always do.
No doubt about it. And the Jets crowd also shows up. And you should expect no different on Monday night. The Chargers never play in front of a crowd, so it's going to be a little bit of a surprise to them. And, we saw it against the opener in Buffalo. That crowd definitely gets into it. The Jets will have their chance to win this game outright. Give me the Jets. Give me the Jets.
You're talking about that defense for New York, and you can't deny that. This total is only at 40.
Yeah.
40. And the under has smacked 9 of the last 12 games for the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Are you looking at that under at all?
It's just a risky play, Andy, because one of two things can happen. The Jets defense plays really well, and Zach Wilson doesn't do very well on the other side of the ball, and that under's going to hit no matter what.
Yeah.
Or the Chargers are firing all cylinders and bust over 40 points with
easy
ease.
Over. Yeah.
So I would bet on the under just because I'm on the Jets side no matter what. So I would lean on the under, but I'm going to sidestep that one for sure.
A lot of these score predictors have the Jets out front winning this. And if you add up the two totals, right, they're well over 40. I'm talking about by 6 or 7 points over that 40. So, man, I'll probably sidestep it too because there's not a clear edge one way or the other, but I'd probably look at the over here.
It's a low point total, so you definitely have to look at the over.
Probably looking at the over here.
Yeah.
Speaking of players, Mr. Parlay Pounder, you got a parlay play.
Yeah, I do, Andy, and it's 3 players that, I like to bet on quite frequently.
Okay.
I got Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, against the New England Patriots. He's a Commanders wide receiver, over 4.5 receptions this week. Sam Howell has been throwing the ball like crazy. I like Terry with 5 receptions at least. The other one I'm going with is TJ Watt, over 0.75 sacks. He's going to eat up.
Get 1 sack.
He's
Get
going
one.
to
Yeah.
eat up Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. Probably going to have 3 sacks this game, but just give me 1, and you're hitting that. And then I got Tua Tagovailoa over 1.5 touchdowns. He is going to put it in the air over there in Frankfurt, Germany. So run it back. I got Terry McLaurin over 4.5 receptions. TJ Watt over 0.75 sacks. Tua Tagovailoa over 1.5 touchdowns. Put them all together, plus 371. Putting $25 on this to win 117.
117 for a $25 bet, and man, those feel pretty darn good.
I like those right now.
And we just celebrated Halloween, and you're saying
Scary Terry. I love it.
Oh man, come on! And Tua's throwing for 2 scores. We talked about how that's going to be a high flying affair.
Yeah,
a lot of touchdowns are going to be lighting up the scoreboard overseas for that kind of a primetime showcase type of game. And we already talked about how the Steelers are going to get after that young quarterback.
They are.
That's going to be a sack for sure. Right?
I believe even 2 half sacks gets you there. So no matter what, he's going to be involved. This is TJ Watt, probably the best defender in the game, going against a rookie quarterback that's going to have happy feet in his first primetime start.
The Parlay Pounder, folks. He's giving it to you again. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Well, that'll about do it for us this week. Be sure to follow us on ESPN, Tri-City Radio, and their Facebook page. We love to put out those short videos and get that interaction with you guys. And then on our Twitter handle, we always like to get some content out there, short videos and things of that nature. And then please, if you haven't already, think about subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's been growing. We are over 2,000 subs right now, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys for making that happen. You also got those free daily picks over on TikTok.
No doubt. Definitely look for those TikTok picks on primetime games. We got them every week.
For JaBron, the Parlay Pounder, I'm Andy Classen. Thank you for listening. This has been WTL.